Chadwick moved closely with Bhagavan. He did not take any action, simple, small, or big, without consulting Bhagavan. Although Bhagavan never approved or disapproved verbally, all the old devotees of Bhagavan could tell from his expression what his response was. If he approved, he would nod his head. If Bhagavan disapproved, he would go into his royal silence. Once, Chadwick had a bad toothache. In those days, Pottencherry was the closest town where one could find a good dentist. He went and told Bhagavan, "Bhagavan, I have a very bad toothache. May I go to Pottencherry to have a dentist treat it?" There was that royal silence, and Chadwick did not go. Within 3 days, his toothache miraculously disappeared. He later told me, "One should always be in tune with the Master. His answer is there. It doesn't have to be a verbal yes or no. If you adhere to that, then even if the answer is in the negative, a positive action of healing flows from it." As we saw earlier, Chadwick followed a strict regimen of meditating, reading spiritual books, and sitting in front of Bhagavan for long periods of time. At over 6 feet tall, he could not sit cross-legged for long on the floor and used to struggle. Observing this, Bhagavan advised him to have a meditation belt. In his reminiscences, Chadwick writes about wearing a cotton meditation belt around his body while sitting on the floor, keeping his knees vertical. With it, he didn't have to recline on the wall or stretch his legs. He could sit for hours on the floor without any problem. From then on, Chadwick could be invariably seen sitting in the corner of the old hall wearing his meditation belt. Chadwick once told me that this idea was given to him by Bhagavan. I queried him about why his reminiscences didn't mention it, that it was Bhagavan's idea. And Chadwick replied, "I didn't write it because Bhagavan told me not to." But I persisted. "At least you could have left a hint that Bhagavan gave it to you. That way we would have had a glimpse without you directly disobeying him." And Chadwick said, "I have left a hint. Read it carefully." On close reading, I discovered that Bhagavan had told Chadwick about how his father had used a similar belt. Though his father used it rarely, Bhagavan remembered it on seeing Chadwick struggle to sit on the floor and advised him appropriately. How meticulously Bhagavan looked after his devotees' physical and spiritual needs. There is another incident told to me by Cohen that Chadwick has not written about in his book. The person who was attending to English correspondence in the ashram office had to go away. Helpless and not knowing what else to do, my grandfather, Chinnaswamy, called Chadwick and requested him to come to the office and take care of the English correspondence. Chadwick refused and went to his room, but his conscience started pricking him, saying inside, "All of them, particularly Chinnaswamy, have helped me so much, but when he needed a little help from me, I refused." So later, when Cohen came in the evening, Chadwick told him about his dilemma. Cohen suggested that he go to Bhagavan and get his advice. On hearing about Chadwick's dilemma, Bhagavan kept silent for some time. Then he turned to Cohen and said, "Chadwick is doing Bhagavan greater service by meditating." Many seekers, as their meditation progresses, experience an intense and inexplicable fear. This happened to Chadwick too. He went to Bhagavan and told him about it. Bhagavan reassured him, saying, "The fear is not for you. The fear is created by the ego, and the ego has to face this fear. Ask, who is facing this fear? When you ask this, the fear will drop off. The ego will bring in, especially in meditation, many obstacles. Whatever the nature of the obstacle, immediately ask, who am I? to whom is this trouble? To whom is this problem? It will immediately drop. And in raising this question, who am I? If you notice the silence instead of looking for an answer, that silence will dispense with the ego instantly. Chadwick's ripeness was such that at the very moment he listened to Bhagavan, he got completely rid of the fear, and he never had fear in his meditation again.